We're in Halacha Dalet, are we? Where it says kusbar, which means coriander. Third line, which page? Okay. Yeah. Kusbar shizrua b'chotzer. You have a coriander seed, which is I don't know what these means. We're just telling you what the English are. It's a type of seed. Shizrua b'chotzer, which is planted in your yard. Mekartim olive, you can peel off leaf by leaf, v'ochel, and eat it. If however after you peeled off the leaves, you combine them all together, so that's like a mini pile, a mini miruach, and you're chayev. Haseya, savory, azov, hisap, bakuranis, thyme, shebechatzer, all these things in their courtyard. Imayun dishmarin, if the courtyard is safeguarded, so chayavin, they're in a place where they're chayev because of the nature of the courtyard. Let's go to the Gemara because over here.
Kusbar is similar to the grapes, where grapes.
Yeah, right. They must have something to do with the way they grow, which we don't know exactly.
Why is Kusbar mentioned in addition to grapes?
It's not. It doesn't grow in grapes in clusters, though. It grows in leaves. Same principle, but different fruit. That's why. Okay. On the Yerushalmi base, Tani b'Shem Rabbi Nechemia, which is 3 lines before the lines get wide. We thought maybe there's an opera tonight. Okay. Tani b'Shem Rabbi Nechemia. The third line before the lines get wide at the Yerushalmi base. You got it?
The third line before it gets wide?
Yeah.
Oh,
this is a very interesting halacha because it has to do with Erevin. You have a courtyard which is hoed. They hoe the courtyard. Courtyards are supposed to be like yards, but you're actually cultivating it. Harei kasada. That gives the status of a field. V'ochlin b'soch harai, and it's not koveh for maasros. You can still snack in it because since it's cultivated, it's being farmed, so it's not a courtyard. It's a field. Okay. On Rabbi Simloi said, "Halak Rabbi Nechemia." Those are Rabbi Nechemia in this regard. Tana, we learned that's only, of course, Zora Ruba Petura. If you planted the whole thing, the majority of the thing, then it's exempt. Not Aruba. However, what happens if you didn't plant, but rather we didn't plant? In Hebrew, there are 2 different words. In English, they're not. You didn't plant grain, but rather you planted trees in most of your yard. In other words, you have a very shady yard. So then, chayeves. That's not considered. That doesn't make it into farmland. What makes it into farmland? Only if you plant grain. But if you plant trees, it doesn't make it farmland. So therefore, it's still you're still not allowed to snack there. Okay, you're only allowed to snack if it's status of farmland if it's planted with seeds, grains, vegetables, stuff like that. It's planted with trees, that's considered to be kind of ornamental, and then it's not mechayev in trumas. It's not. That doesn't take away the chi of trumas and from the yard. Lav dafka, any type of tree. Doesn't matter. Okay?
Because if you're planting fruit trees, you're planting it for fruit.
Yeah.
So it's more than just
that doesn't matter. Still doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh, I see. In fruit berry trees say it's more reason to be allowed to snack. But no, it doesn't matter. Nice havamina doesn't make a difference. Says more.
The Russian here is the opposite.
Oh, it's the opposite here?
Yeah. Oh,
that's a tie. Yeah, it's obviously a mistake. Yeah. I'm sure something. Yeah.
And I call it a Gina, not a what did you say?
I saw that, but the same idea.
Just the time of year you got to
Somebody fixes it. I think the Ridbaz fixes it. But you're right. It's the opposite gears of that. Amar Rav Chisda, he said, "Vusha noto l'noya shel choter." This is as long as the trees are planted for the ornamentation of the yard. So it makes a difference if they're fruit or non-fruit bearing, as long as they're ornamentation of the yard. So then the yard still is mechayim and trumas and maasros. The two different statements each learn from each other. This one learns from that one, meaning zara ruba petura. That when do I say that if you plant the most of it, it's potter, you probably have chayv again, right? Yeah, so it should be petura. Zara ruba petura. When do I say that if you plant the most of it with seeds, it's exempt? In other words, that it's exempt from trumas ma'aser, you can still snack. That's who should tell you nadaris. If it's hoed and cultivated, in other words, it has to be not just planted, but also cultivated. The other case learns from that case. The second case learns from the first case. And if it's hoed, Sharei Kasada, when we do say it's like a field or a gino, whatever the gears you have there, Busha either Ruba, it's only if a majority of it is cultivated and not a minority was cultivated. Okay? Back to the Mishnah. Yud Zayin Ralph. Tana Shiur, which is the 6th line down from the top of the Amud, Yud Zayin Ralph.
Second word on the line.
Got it? Tainer Shemeres B'Chater. We have a fig tree which is standing in the yard. V'noite Lagina, and it's inclined towards the outside of the yard. It's Ochel Kedarko. You're allowed to eat from it normally in the gina, in the outside of the yard, which means in your field. Upater, you're exempt. Or vice versa. Menace begin of the tree is standing in the field. The night of the chotzer is inclined into the yard. In that case, you have to eat. You're only exempt if you eat one by one because there was no miruach here. But if you eat more than one at a time, then you're chayim. You're not allowed to snack anymore. Menace ba'aretz v'noit to the chutz la'aretz. Yeah, I thought you weren't coming tonight. The meeting ended. The meeting ended early. Should we solve all the problems at Skokie Shiva?
Everything's solved. You can be happy. Everything's wonderful.
Okay. You sound so convincing. Okay. I need a piece of paper. I think I have one right here. Yeah. Okay, general principle is like this. If you have a tree, let's take the case before. You have a tree which is inside a yard. Here's the yard, right? There's the yard. Here's a tree. Okay, the foliage, we go at, even though in the cases in the Reish of the Mishnah, even though the trunk is in the yard, we follow the guy standing out here. We follow the din of the foliage. Okay. By Shabbos it is true too. By Shabbos the foliage is Shus Harabim. It is Shus Harabim.
It doesn't go back to the trunk of the tree.
Doesn't go by the trunk of the tree. We'll see where it goes back to the trunk of the tree. More Mishnah is going to bring down exceptions. We're going to get there. Okay? If it's standing in Eretz Yisrael, this is Israel, and this is Chutz La'aretz, so then, or vice versa, and inclines to Chutz La'aretz, Hakol Holech Achar Ikar. In this case, we say it differently. So it's in the Reish of the Mishnah vis-a-vis Maasros, you go after where the foliage is, where the fruit is. In other words, if the fruit is here, so then the fruit is there. But in the Reish of by Eretz Yisrael, since we're going after where the nourishment is derived from, that's the primary issue. So therefore, it depends where the trunk is standing. The trunk is standing in the land of Israel or outside the land of Israel. Okay, is that clear? The difference? It makes sense, right? The first part of vis-a-vis Trumas Ma'asros has nothing to do with where it's going to derive its nourishment from, because on the tree it's exempt anyway, right? It's the only way you take it off the tree that it's chayiv. So therefore the foliage is outside, so then it's considered to be outside. We did have we had something like that somewhere. I forget exactly where, but we did have something like that somewhere. Maybe a Shemitah, right? Tree is just staying part of it, so it's could be had there. I don't really fully understand what Bate Orechom has to do with trees. But the thing is like this, if you have a tree, I'm telling you what the halach is. If you have a tree which is standing inside a base here, a walled city, so then the tree, it gets to be sold forever. It doesn't go back in Yovel. You have a tree outside of Beis Yerushalmi, then it goes back in Yovel. So here too we go after where it's deriving nourishment from. It's similar to Halach of Eretz Yisrael because it has to do with the status of the tree. Ubari Miklat, however, again, this is only vis-a-vis this Halacha, now we change back. Here Miklat. This is the here Miklat, right? There's the same Miklat. And here is the poor idiot killer. The unintentional killer. So, Kalah comes to Goel Hadam, and he shoots him. And that is completely mutter. Why is that? He's outside the tree, right? Because the foliage is outside. Okay? Depends where the foliage is. Yerushalmi vis-a-vis Meiser Sheni. The loch is that fruit, once it enters Yerushalayim, you can no longer redeem it. If it's Meiser Sheni, you must eat it, right? So that's also depends. It goes after where the foliage is. The foliage is outside, so then it's outside Yerushalayim. Foliage is inside. It's inside Yerushalayim. All that is contingent on where it actually is. Okay, let's go to the Gemara. How did the Tamer on Yudzayin a base? I don't know where it is anymore since you have my Gemara. It's in the white lines already.
Last word of the third wide line.
Last word of the third wide line. Now there are going to be a couple of probably gears for changes here. That what you said that the guy who eats is exempt from Trumas Ma'asros, he can snack by Mebegino. It's where the guy is standing underneath here. If he's standing down here and eating from the fruit up here, that's okay. He's exempt from Trumas Ma'asros, right? And now it's said in the Mishnah that if he eats one by one, it's exempt. But he combines it together, chayiv, he's liable. By mechatzis, where he's standing in the yard itself, underneath there. Rabbi Yirmiyah boy, kumi Rabbi Zira. This is a fat, by the way. I gotta tell you, this is amazing. Gemara about to learn. This is so contemporary. Rabbi Yirmiyah boy, kumi mamish litvish. This is the most litvish Gemara I've ever seen. Okay, ready? After that introduction, better be good, right? Rabbi Yirmiyah boy. Rabbi Yirmiyah boy, kumi Rabbi Zira. Rabbi Yirmiyah asked in front of Rabbi Zira. Tell us b'dukrani maro. This is a classic Rabbi Yirmiyah question. Rabbi Yirmiyah asked where the guy is standing in one area, but he's taking the fruit with a literally means a sharp peg from the other side. What's the status? Okay, so that's the question, and the Gemara doesn't resolve it here. Okay, flash. Dilma, Rabbi Zira, Rabbi Abba, Barkana, Rabbi Levi, Hava Yosvin, they were sitting. Vava Rabbi Zira mekanter le'elin da'agadata. Rabbi Zira was mocking those who get involved in learning agadata. Vava tzavachlon. And he said about those people who learn agadata, Sifrei Kosmin. They make Torah into magic and into frivolous sermons, I guess would be the right word. Didn't I tell you it was a literature Gemara? Omar lei Rabbi. Yeah. Omar lei Rabbi Abba Bar Kakana. So Rabbi Abba came to their defense, said, "Lama at mekanter loan Why are you mocking the people who darshan agadatas? Shal v'inun magivin loch. Ask them and they'll give you a good response. You'll see that they do a good job. Amar lei. So Rabbi Zira said, okay, ma'u hadein dichsiv. What is that which the pasuk says? I wrote on the side of my Gemara, look at the pasuk, and I didn't. Let me just get an English still in, because I never heard of this pasuk before, and I really should look it up. Okay, the pasuk is like this: Ki chamas tilmayin vavirav. Ki chamas adam todeka sheris chemos tachkor. Very cryptic pasuk. So the way that Koren here translates it is for the JPS. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. That's kichamas odam todecha. And sheris chemas tachkor, thou wilt gird thyself with the remainder of wrath. Very cryptic thing. Again, surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. Thou wilt gird thyself with the remainder of wrath. Okay, that's the translation of the pasuk. So Psalm 76:11. Okay. You can obviously tell that I've never went through all of Tehillim. Okay. So he said, so Rabbi Abba, I'll tell you what it means. I have a good pshat. The pshat is, when a person thanks God for the anger directed against him in this world, Sheris chemos, takor b'olam haba, will impede upon him from getting. Takor means here impede, literally restrain or hold back. It'll impede upon him from getting the rest of his afflictions in the world to come. In other words, if you thank God for being afflicted in this world, so it cools off Gehenna for you after you die. Okay? Amar lei. What? Right. So Amar lei, Rabbi Zira said, baloney. Doesn't say baloney here, Gero, but it says it in my Gemara. Amar lei, so he said, but who says that? Shad Apostle. There's Rabbi Zira. Oh, name, I may say like this. Ki chamas adam todecha ba'olam hazeh. When the tzaddikim, when the tzaddikim thank you, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, for giving them afflictions in this world. Oh, wait a minute, I read the wrong. Right. When the tzaddikim thank you, since the tzaddikim thank you in Olam Haba for all the afflictions you gave them, because it was their own benefit, so therefore, she'eris chaimos tachkor b'olam hazeh. You should, here the tachkor doesn't mean to restrain, but the exact opposite, to gird yourself with. So you should gird them with all sorts of afflictions in this world in order to complete their affliction. Again, let me say it outside. The Rabbi Zira said, maybe this is the pshat in pasuk, that since the tzaddikim were going to thank you, Olam Haba, for all that you did to them in this world, because they're for their own benefit, so really pour it out on them in this world. Okay? Give them as much as possible, in order that they shouldn't have any problems in the world to come. Maybe that's the pshat in the pasuk. Rabbi Levi. Rabbi Levi said he had a third pshat in pasuk. He said, when you arouse your anger on the Rishoyim, tzaddikim roim mat oiseh. The tzaddikim see what you're doing to them. Chemos means to see in Aramaic. Chomis means to see. The tzaddikim see what you're doing. Vein moedim l'shmecha, and they thank your name. So they have three pshat in the pasuk. Rabbi Zira. Rabbi Zira said, this is an amazing line. Hi hapcha, you turn it over. V'imahapcha, and you turn it over again. Lo shamina mina klum, we don't learn anything from it. In other words, this is exactly what I told you. Agadata is meaningless. You can change it and distort it and do with it as you please. Yirmiyah, getting back to Yirmiyah. What's the next word? I have a B'nai Tzur, build the rock of Dukrinischa, of your question about the spear. The Tavamim Klum, it's better than all this Agadata stuff. In other words, a question in Lomdis, such as, what's the din if you stab the fruit on the other side of the fence? In vis-a-vis Ma'asros. A question like that in Lomdus is far better than all this Agarata business. Because the Agarata you could twist and turn in any direction. Halach is either mutter or usher. There aren't all sorts of twists and turns one could take. So,
Remember, he's the one that never smiled.
Zir never smiled. Is that the other one? Yeah? Did I say it? I don't remember. But, did he never smile? Could be. So in any event, so the bottom line here, he tries to Kavanok, says, right, Rabbi Zir is not going to denigrate the significance of Agarata, because in somewhere else he does praise Agarata, for only some kinds of Agarata. I guess the ones that Darshim Psukim, I don't know. Alright. The ones he, yeah. Alright, on we go. Now we're getting back to Bati Arechoma. Tamatzim learned over there. Kol shu milifnim min hachoyma, anything which is within the wall of a walled city. Hareu kabati Arechoma is all considered to be like the walled city, and that means that once it's sold, after a year, sold forever. Chutz mi'asaras, except for fields within the walls. Rameir says even the field. My time of the Rabbanim. What's the logic of the rabbis who exclude fields? Because vikam abayis says the house arises and becomes that of the new owner after 1 year. And the yellow bayis only know this is true about houses. Minayin l'rabos botei bada, I know it's true about olive presses, uboros and cisterns, sichin, dugouts, umoros and caves, umerchatzos and bathhouses, vishavachos and tovkats, umigdalos and all sorts of, the Rakav says, large closets connected to the ground. Tambulomar Shebrika says everything in the city, that all has the same halacha. Yachal Avasar doesn't even apply to fields. No. Tambulomar, because the pasuk says, Bais, it has to be similar to a house. My Bais, Shum Yuchad, Shum Beis Dira, a house which is similar, which is used serves for dwelling. Avko, Shum Beis Dira, so to anything else it serves for dwelling. Yatsu Sados, it precludes fields, Sheinam Beis Dira, which are not a dwelling place. Maita Ramir, what's the logic? Ramir includes fields. Become a bais. It says the house should arise. And the el bais always see a house. Minai l'chabos, how do I know that includes? But they body in all presses. Boilers, cisterns, sichin, dugouts, moros, caves, mechatzos, bathhouses, shavachos, dovkats, migdalos, large closets, ve'asados. And fields as well. All that which is in the city. So my hunch is that our mission, which talked about a tree in the city, I mean, that's the city. Mistame would seem it's going like Rabbi Meir that holds that the Sada has a din of the house the Sada has a din of the city itself. Okay, Tani, we learned Habayis Haboni Bichoma. What about a house which is built into the wall? Whose house in Tanakh was built in the wall? Famous personage. Very good. Oh, very good. Rachav. Rachav's house, right. Very good. Okay, Tanya, it goes back in the Yovel, because it's not like the house in the city. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Shimon says it is in the city, because the outer wall of the house is the wall. That's sufficient. It's within the wall. So it's a question, what about this house which is in the wall? Is it within the walled city? Or is it part and parts of the wall and therefore by definition outside the walled city? Rabbi Yehuda Darshan, we have a Kriya Ksif here. It says Asher Lo Choma with an aleph. We read it lo with a vav. Now the truth is I don't know. By us, lo with a vav and lo with an aleph sound exactly the same. So I don't know how we can call this a Kriya Ksif. But maybe in the old days there was some difference in enunciation between lo with a vav and lo with an aleph. Yeah.
Lo with the aleph is pronounced.
It's lo and lo. I don't know. Lo.
What is it called?
Right? Yeah, lo with the snicker with the thing afterwards. Yeah. What?
What is it called? The difference?
No, I'm making it up.
Oh.
There is no inherent difference that I know of. Kriya Ksif.
That's right.
The way it's written and the way it's read. We have that very often in the Torah, right? So Rabbi Yehuda says it's even though it's written with an aleph, Asher Lo Chomo, it sounds like it doesn't have a wall. Asher Lo Chomo, we read it with a vav. which means it's got to have a wall. So this house doesn't have a wall. Rabbi Shimon Darish Asher Lo Choma with an aleph, which means even if it doesn't have a wall. Now, of course, it's got to have a wall, but what does it mean? That means if it's built into the wall, so it doesn't really, it's not technically walled in, it's still considered to be like a house of a Yerushalmi. And therefore, the halacha is that it doesn't go back to Yovel after the year. It permanently belongs to the buyer.
I'm not sure it falls under the category of what we typically call creek sieve. It's more like a tikkun sofer, which is different.
How is it a tikkun sofer?
Because tikkun sofer doesn't mean they actually correct or make a change to the text. It means it depends upon a drasha. They darshan it based upon how it
what it could have said otherwise.
Yes.
Maybe that makes sense. I just took Riyuksi because he brings that down from he brings that from the Pnei Moshe, but could be it's a okay, fine. All right. Yerushalmi Melech Acharnov. You don't have the header, but the Yerushalmi go after the foliage. Rabbi China modifies this, and I'm not so happy with this modification, but neither is the Gemara. It's only if you got up there through the nof. Meaning, this is Yerushalmi. You climbed up like this. Right? Then it's still exempt from, it's still considered, still redeemable, the fruit. But if you went in, and then went up the tree, and then went out again, then in that case, already Ma'asros can't be redeemed. Why? Shekvar kolto ikar, right? Because already it was absorbed by being inside by the trunk. Masnisa the Beis Shammai. Now our mission is going like Beis Shammai. Why is our mission going like Beis Shammai? The Tzniya Tamon. We learned over there Beis Shammai hakol lifnim. Beis Shammai says everything is like the inside. Now this means. Still not happy with this. Just give me a second here. He's talking about a case like this. The Shammai is talking about a case. It's not our Gemara. So in a case, here's the wall of Yerushalmi. And here you have, in the wall, built into the wall, you have, this is the inside of the wall. You have here an olive press. What's the status of the olive press? It's outside the wall. Since the door is open, since the opening is into the city, as the status of the city. That's the Beis Shammai holds. So, but it's similar, real similar idea. But here there's only one doorway, so regardless whether the door is open or closed, that's the way you have to get in and out. So it's usually what? It's an extension of the city. So our mission is like Beis Shammai. The thing that Beis Shammai mean everything which is on the outside is like the inside. Now I don't know exactly what the comparison is. I'm not happy about this. He's saying that Rabbi Chanina, who says that if you go up the trunk into the foliage, it's like inside. That's like Beis Shammai, who says that this is like the inside. I don't like the comparison.
The branch is an extension of the tree.
Yeah, but here you actually went inside the city. It's not because the branch is an extension of the tree, it's because you went inside the city that you're chayiv. Right? So that's what I don't like here. Unless I don't understand exactly what Rabbi China meant by Helo Derech Hanoif. Ola Derech Ikar. What do you have to say yourself? Ola Derech Ikar? The line before. What? What do you have to that? Yeah. Right, so that's what I understand. I mean, it's not comparable at all, because in this case you went up actually through the trunk. I don't understand what the comparison is. In other words, here it's Pasha. Since you went up like this through the city, of course it's going to be, of course you're not going to be able to redeem it anymore. I don't know. You understand my problem? Everybody see my problem? Not comparable case? Okay, be that as it may, let's go further. Tani Yechzias and Obi Yifnim. What happens if you twisted the foliage around? Right? The foliage is extending out. You've twisted inside the city. Kulu Chifnim. So it's as if it's inside the city now, so it doesn't matter, right? Vasi Kahan Tana Kadmaya de Beis Shammai. And this statement, this brayso, is going like the previous statement, which is a statement of Beis Shammai, which is that Hakol Lifnim, everything is like the inside, meaning that the Beis Shammai says that we don't go after. Right. Truth is, I don't know where Basil argues on this, but I don't. The whole thing is cryptic to me because it sounds like it's only Beis Shammai, not Basil, but it seems to me it's also Basil. I mean, at least I don't know where Basil argues. But Beis Shammai says that if you twist, let's say you had the exact opposite case, you took this foliage and extended it out like this. Somehow you bended the tree in two. All right? So in that case, also Beis Shammai would say the foliage is originally inside the city and is now outside, is exempt. Because right now, when you pluck the fruit off the tree, it's outside the city. So that's just saying, Vasi Kan Tani Tanoidika Beis Shammai, that which where we put the foliage is what determines the foliage's status at that time and at that place. That's going to Beis Shammai also said that wherever the foliage is, that's the status of the foliage. Okay? With the one exception, which again is where you went in and when you went up and through the ikar. Alright, that's all there is to it. So, looks more complicated than it is. The bottom of the main question which I remain with though is again, I don't understand how this case of the tree is comparable to the case of the olive press. Alright, let's
say because you use the tree which is inside the city to get to.
You're saying it's all used as a ladder. So you weren't kovei yourself in Yerushalmi. Maybe. Certainly better than anything I said. But maybe. Alright. Says the let's go to the next verse. Hakovish. Somebody who cooks. Well, kovish is pickle, excuse me. Vasholi cooks. V'amalech or salt besode chayev. You do it out in the field, you're already chayev and Jewish mice, you may not snack anymore. Hamachbir ba'adama, if however you put the fruits in the ground to get warm, don't actually cook it. Hamatabel basode, or you dip your food in salt or salt water, but that doesn't make you chayav and Jewish mice. Hapotez, if you crack open olives, she'etzem and saraf, in order to get out the bitter sap, potter, you're still allowed to snack. If you squeeze olives to get the oil in your flesh, you're exempt. Why? Because it's still not considered to be Gemar Malacha. However, what if I squeeze an olive into my hand like this? Chayiv. That case of chayiv. Why is that? Because it's going to be later, and the Gemara is going to discuss it. The Gemara says your hand becomes like a sister, and a sister is tantamount to ruach. So therefore, you squeeze an olive out onto your hand, then you can no longer snack.
If your hand was flat,
what?
If your hand was flat, so you're making.
I don't think so. Yeah.
He's squeezing it on.
So that's flat. This is when he cups his hand a little bit. It's a nice deal, not bad.
Isn't the distinction though, it depends what the purpose is? Because for sochet al yado, it could be used for purposes of eating or whatever, or basaro, it's medication.
Yeah, but it seems like oil which you're going to use for anointing yourself also is chayv and Jewish mice. That's what it seems from here. So that's why it seems to be an issue, I think. Okay. Any what we call mini ruach. Any making a pile or making a collection, that's already, or processing. Right, the ratio of the Mishnah, it's processing, yes, any processing. Okay, and that's even out in the field. Hamakbil tavshil. It's like, if you put wine into a dish, litavshil is like in the dish, potter. That's okay. You can still snack on it. The wine is wine of tevel. But you put it into what the Gemara is later going to tell us is an empty pot. Chayav, then you can no longer snap neshu kabar katan. A pot is like a mini miruach. Okay. Says the Gemara further. Ur tevel. Fire gives the status of tevel. No, do we skip? We're the Mishnah, right? Suzuki, you with us? Ur tevel. Fire makes the tevel, you can no longer snack. Melech, salt of velos, makes the tevel, you can no longer snack. Mekach, purchase the tevel. Truma, if you took off truma and not meisers, too bad. You gotta take off meisers now. Once you start, you cannot stop. Shabbos, tovelos. Shabbos comes, you can no longer snack. Chatzavesa shmemer, if it gets into a garden, a courtyard, tevel, you can no longer snack. Rabbi Yochanan said, Chotzer umekach v'Shabbos. All these things ain't on toichel. They're not koveh for meiser. They don't deprive you the right to snack. They're right only the rabbanan. Rabbi Yerushalmi Ma'asros said, "Hamechuber shkul," and the clearest of them all, meaning one of them is doraisa, which is that zuchotzer beis hashmir, the safeguarded courtyard. Time we learn. Yeah.
Shabbos requires you to.
Shabbos enters, you can no longer snack. Yes, but you know this from the brisker chumrah. What's the brisker chumrah, which is derived from this? We discussed it last cycle. We discussed it this cycle in brachos. What's the brisker chumrah derived from this? You know the Soloveitchiks? Shabbos is koveya. Makes it permanent, set. I'll give it away to you guys, but I'm embarrassed. Kriya Suda. Still nothing. The briskers don't eat cake on Shabbos. Right. Yes. Briskers don't eat cake. Because they always have to watch on cake. Because there's an obscure Rishon who says, just like, I think it's Rabbi Yochanan, but just not so obscure. But just like you have to watch, just like can't snack on Shabbos, vis-a-vis Trumas Ma'asros, there's no such thing as a snack of cake. Every time you have cake on Shabbos, it is a Kriya Suda. It's derived from this halacha. Okay. What? Okay. You're not. You're a plebeian, but they themselves don't have it. Okay. No offense. It's probably, I'm sure he even lets his wife have it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Says more further. Tanya, we learned. Hakovish achich bosh kol tzarko. When pickling, when is it considered to be chayiv and Trumas Ma'asros? Only if it's completely pickled. Hashoylek achich shel kol tzarko. When you cook it, does that be completely cooked or become chayiv and Trumas Ma'asros or not? Nishmini minadot. It's learned from this case. The time we learned at the brayso. Hamavim shibolim bu'ur. If somebody singes grain in fire, nikbalu. So already it's tevel, you no longer snack. So we see clearly even partial cooking. It says more below kachin b'chusar mulacha. No, even without that, they're no longer. They're completely finished. Right? They're completely finished anyway. So as opposed to over here, aidea ur shaniyahi. But here we want to say that without them being completely finished, by the fire itself, shikamar malachto. We want to say the fire completes the work. That's our shaila. Of course, where you singe grain, which is otherwise complete, it's been completely processed, then that's going to make it chayim and Trumas Ma'asros. That could be a clincher. Our question, we don't have that clincher. It's not completely processed. But out in the field while you're harvesting, you took some of the grain, you just harvested and cooked it. What's its status then? That's our shaila. Okay? Vaida amra, And this teaches us that where it says that you singeing the grain and makes the chayim and trumas u'maisos, how we know that's the case? Or the other time, because in the brayso, hichni shibolim lebeso. If you brought grain into your house, lochla mililos, in order to make them into eat them as raw grain, slightly singed, nitblu their tevel. Lasos me'em isa. But if your intent is to continue working with them, in order to make from them a dough, lo nitblu. So then they're not considered to be tevel, meaning you can still snack from them until they're a dough. So that which we say that if they're slightly singed, then in that case already it's makabel tuma. That's only not makabel truma. That it's chayiv and trumas u'maisros. That's only if it comes in the house or after some other point of full processing. Okay. Now Gemara is going to come back to this in a few lines. Kavash v'sholach shlomi das barlim. I go and I take your fruit or your vegetables or your legumes and I pickle it or cook it without your acquiescence. Plukta the Rabbi Yochanan v'Reish Lakish is a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan v'Reish Lakish. This pagum the way machlokes. Ha-memareach kel yoshel chaver, somebody who does mirach on his friend's pile. Shalom midaitu, without his friend's consent. Rabbi Yochanan nitbal. Too bad. Tough luck. It's not chayim and trumas u'maisros. Reish Lakish mar lo nitbal. It's not. So the same thing over here. Rabbi Yehuda said no comparison. Tama there. Iev shar lo shalo l'mareach. There, Rabbi Yochanan says, so what if Reuven did it instead of Shimon? Somebody's going to do it eventually. So therefore, if Reuven did it, Shimon did it, it doesn't make a difference. Here, the guy who came from the outside started pickling. Who says the Baal doesn't want to pickle it? So therefore, in this case, he's take exempt. He can still continue to snack. Because I say, even according to Rabbi Yochanan, there says he's chayav. That's because it's inevitable that it's going to be miruach. But there was no inevitability of the pickling, and therefore the pickling does not etch in stone a prohibition on snacking. Okay, so far so good. Shocha b'shus hekdesh. Person cooks. Not a person, the gizbar. Anybody, doesn't matter. Person cooks when it belongs to hekdesh. U'pdo. Then redeem it. You bring it to your courtyard. Beis Shamir, which is safeguarded. Mao, what's that lacha? So everybody understand the sequence?
No, I understand. Where is it? It's B'shus Hekdesh. He gave it up in possession.
You were makdish the tomato. And the kids from the Beis HaMikdash cooked it. Then you redeemed the tomato. And he wanted to take, and he took it home to your chutzner. So what's its status? Is kavua vis-a-vis trumas u'maisros now or not? Hekdesh is exempt from trumas u'maisros, right? So that truly, the question is where that patters it at that point. So it says, "Al daiti a very interesting gemara. Al daiti Reish Lakish nitba. According to Reish Lakish, but when you get home and put it into your courtyard, it becomes tevel, and you can no longer snack on that. You know why? Because zu toicha v'zu eina Torah. Cooking is not it doesn't make a chayim trumas u'maisros. The rice only the rabbanan. Coming into the courtyard, which is safeguard, according to Reish Lakish, said mechuver b'kula and said chotzer bezer shmira. He owns that to the rice. So the fact that Hekdesh cooked it, which is only a rabbinic chiyuv done in the hands of Hekdesh, cannot preclude the subsequent doraisa preparation of bringing it to your chutzner. So therefore, the doraisa overwhelms the drabanan, and in this case, according to Reish Lakish, you're not allowed to snack on it. One enters your yard. Okay, that's according to Reish Lakish. That's because till now, midoraisa was neutral. Only the Rabbanan was the cooking significant act. The rice was neutral. So there, when it enters the yard, like anything else that enters the yard, it becomes chayav. And you can no longer snack. But al daiti Rabbi Yochanan need bal. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, taka doesn't become tevel. Ever. You can still always snack on it. Because they're both the Rabbanans. That cooking makes it chayav, and that entering the courtyard makes the chayav of both the Rabbanans. So therefore, since one of the Rabbanans was done in a way which exempts, because it was done by hektish. The subsequent Rabbanan does not have the power to restore the prohibition on snacking. It's a beautiful lumdus, right? Okay, it's only if the second one's the Raisa that it overwhelms the Rabbanan, but not if both are on a par as the Rabbanan. Okay? Hichnisu chotzer beis hashmicha. B'shus hektish. You put it into a courtyard under Hekdish's auspices. Kado, then redeem it. Ushloko, and you cook it. Divra kol nitbal. Everybody agrees that in that case, it's tevel. You're no longer allowed to snack. Why is that? Korah went into a courtyard under Hekdish's domain, and that definitely should exempt it from here on in from any chiyuv. We should be continuously allowed to snack. So he says a beautiful thing. The Gemara say intimates a beautiful thing. What chutz is mechayev? Only chutz which has an owner who's safeguarding it. Hekdesh doesn't own. Hekdesh doesn't own courtyards.
That's what come
Right. Maybe you can use that. So that's the idea. Hekdesh doesn't have a din of this bringing into a courtyard because it's not. They don't own it in the sense that a human being owns it and preserves it.
Well, it wasn't made hektish. It just went into the courtyard.
Right. And Hekdesh doesn't have courtyards. That's what we're saying. Okay? Says more. That's obvious. Nothing took place in Shus Hekdesh. Of course, later on, when it enters your courtyard or you cook it, you're going to be chayv Shuvas Ma'asros. That's not the question. This is the question. A bigger, a more complicated question. Hikdishoi ushloko, you makdish it. Then you cooked it a little bit. And you put it into a chatzar where it's safeguarded. Pido, you redeemed it. Ushloko, then he cooked it more. He finished cooking it. What's the halach in that case? So says the Gemara, Divrei kol nitba. Everybody holds that in that case it becomes teva. Why? Because the interruption in the middle. Well, the fact that Hektish cooked it a little bit, and the fact that it went to the Hektish's courtyard, neither are meaningful. Because Hektish has no courtyard, and besides that, what makes it chayiv and Shuvas Ma'asros by cooking? This goes back to the question we had before, only the end of the process. And the end of the process is already in a regular person's hand, and therefore at that point, snacking becomes forbidden. Now ask more a question which is relevant to what we're learning in the morning in Kira. Pidov Simko Mau. It's an interesting thing. Hektish cooked it completely. They cooked it completely. Now, after Hektish cooked it, you took it and you continued to cook it. And it's mitztamek v'yofeloi. It's like chulent. Chulent, the more you cook it, the better it is. So it's completely cooked, but you continue to cook it. Is that going to now be mechayiv in a Shuvas Ma'asros or not? We say it's fully cooked, that's it. It was fully cooked in the hands of Hektish. Cooking cannot be a factor now causing mechayiv. That's one side. The other side is no. Since it gets better and better and better over time, like the chulent left overnight. So therefore, maybe the fact that now I'm continuing the process makes it chayiv, and of course the Gemara does not resolve ever that kind of question.
It's edible even the first time. Before you cook it.
Right, the question is what the status of mitzvah below is. What's the status of which gets better over time? So it's like additional cooking, or it's like considered after the fact? That's really the Gemara's asking. Okay. Says more in Tamar or Toivel. If we're going to say fire of this sort, this kind of fire, where first you have cooking and then you have continued cooking, the mitztamek v'yafelo, where it's getting better over time, that makes it tevel. In other words, that's considered to be the tzimuk in the hands of a Jew. Makes it regular Jew, makes it tevel. Itemar or toivel or ur poiter. So then, I would say that also, if you did it the other way, in other words, Hektish did this cooking and then was continuing to cook it, then it's exempt, right? Itemar eno or toivel, if you're going to say that this type of cooking after the fact, in other words, continuously heating it or continuously keeping it at boil, doesn't make it chayiv, right? Doesn't make it tevel. Ain't no reported that if Hektish did the same thing, it doesn't make it exempt either. Okay? So it's really the question is whether tzimuk, what the status of tzimuk is, or whatever the status of tzimuk is, continue cooking by a hedyot, by a commoner, that'll apply to Hektish as well. Okay? Rabbi Yeri asked.
So they just put the question aside.
Right. We don't answer. Rabbi Yirmiyah boy. Rabbi Yirmiyah asked a question like this. Tigno basada mao. What are you fried it out in the field? Says Amar, what's the question? Belocate. Without any other issues. Ein or toivel. It's being cooked. Fried, cooked. What's the difference? It's tevel. Says Amar, no. This is a Rabbi Yirmiyah question, right? Ilu efshat lo mitan gabe moshach. If it's something which can be fried without oil. Wait, who would tell you about Rabbi Yirmiyah's question is, you took chveis, French fries, which really have to be fried in oil. And you fried them out in the field without oil, right? What's the status then? Is that considered cooking, it's mechayev? Or is it not considered kederach cooking because it was without oil in your example? In other words, it continued to be allowed to snack. So good kasha. Okay? Of course, the Gemara doesn't resolve it. Rabbi Yossi b'Shem Kana, Omar. Rabbi Yossi b'Shem Kana said, Rabbi Yoina, named Rabbi Yoina. Tanu Rav Tachlafta ben Shol. Rav Chalafta ben Shol. Rav Chalafta ben Shol said, us... You don't have that?
We have a coffee shop.
No. Oh. Sound is significant. Asa Hated Besade. Teufel. A guy starts reclining in the field, makes Pesach nights later in the field. That's it. He can no longer snack. It's considered to be a kvius. Im loy seveino tevel. But if he didn't recline, so it's not tevel, and he continued to snack. Eight ways of shul tevel. What's considered to be a reclining where you can it can no longer snack? It's not just enough that he reclines. Indeed, besides that, he also needs wine. Kol sheish bo yain. What's reclining without some wine? Cuts of less of a low. What if he decided to recline, but he didn't get a chance to recline? He had to eat standing up or sitting, but he didn't intend to incline. His intention enough to make him chayiv and shubas samaitzus and no longer snack or not. The Gemara doesn't resolve it. Tanya, we learned hashum. Do you have this hashum shalaim, garlic and cress? Shashakam beside that. If you ground them out in the field, make garlic chips. You have chayil too. I don't have chayil, right? Okay, mustard, same idea. Hashakam beside it. Nikblu do become they do become tevel, right? Now it says more. No, it's not so portion. Akidum b'shum shel tevel. This is about garlic of tevel. Sheshacham b'shemen shechun, which you ground into oil. So it's not just ground garlic, but you ground the garlic into oil. Grind the garlic into oil. That makes it chayiv. So it's considered to be a kvius. Well, what about shum shel chulin sheshacham b'sadar shemen shel tevel? What about if you have regular garlic and you ground that garlic into oil, which is tevel? Is the oil now considered to be kavua or not? And the chorch should be reflexive. I don't know why it's not, but the Gemara does come to a resolution. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the Gemara. What's bugging the Gemara? Maybe that's the issue. Tafel nicher. So it's a tafel. The garlic, ground garlic can't be mechayev. It's good. Okay. Rabbi Zia, Rabbi Chia, Barashi, B'Shem, Chav. They both said, Eshkol shesachto l'kois. If you have a cluster of grapes that you squeeze into a cup, nitva. So that's considered to be tevel. L'tar, because that's kvius to drink. L'tamcho, if you squeeze it into a pot full of food, lo nitva, it's not considered to be a kvius because it gets absorbed into the food. So it loses its significance, and therefore it's not. You can still snack from it without the of shumas u'maitzes. Yeah, but not at home. That's its home. This is only on the field. It's only on the field. Hamakpeh l'tavshil. If you don't have that. If you remove this, if you put it into says more. I'm just going to skip that header. Below kachena or a toivel. I understand if it's put into a cooked dish. Isn't the cooking in and of itself going to make it kavua, right? Even out in the field. Says more b'tavshil tzayder. We're talking about where it's a cold dish, not a hot dish. So it's a cold dish with no cooking. So therefore, since the wine gets absorbed, it continues to be exempt from Trumas Umayis, you continue to snack. L'ktei chayev. If you put it into a pot, you're chayev. Oh, you don't have that header, right? Oh, you do? It's only if you put it into an empty pot. Because you put it into a full pot, it gets absorbed in the food. Put it this way, but you put it in an empty pot, that's why it has significance. Like squeezing into the cup. Did our Mishnah tell us this? I don't need Rabbi Lezer for this. Our Mishnah says, if you squeeze it into the dish, you continue to be exempt because it gets absorbed. But if you cook and put it into a pot, because it's like a small mini miruach, it's like a small gathering in a cistern. Well, bor cotton, bor means a bor rake, ain't bo mine, right? Didn't have anything in it to begin with. Okay, halacha base. Tinoikas, children, shetam nuteinim l'Shabbos, will put figs in the ground. They hid them from before Shabbos. Yeah.
Or cotton, not a deep one?
No, shallow one, yeah. But it's mini, means mini here.
Isn't there like a term board? Does it automatically mean 10 ounce?
I mean, that's what they put on cotton, maybe. That's what you're saying, right?
Sounds like a...
Yeah, bor in Nezikin is always 10 ounces. So I don't think that's true, 10 tefachim. But I don't think that's true by wine. A bor of yain, 10 tefachim, not 10 ounces. 10 tefachim. But I don't think it's true by a bor of wine. A bor of wine is just whatever storage facility you have. Okay. Tinokus, what time do you guys have? 10:14. All right, so I'm not going to start the next ritual, so we'll take it tomorrow. It's frivolous to start it now. Stop here.